Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Monday night, 8 p.m. The online darts live lounge returns in what could be Fergie time tonight, gentlemen. It has been a bumper 7 days of darting action. We have plenty to go through. But first of all, how are you boys?
Well, I'm a bit concerned. The sheer number of times you've done that introduction, I managed to get our name wrong, to be quite honest.
Well, you know. How are we doing?
All right. Busy bumper week, isn't it? Loads to do, loads to talk about, lots going on, draw to do as well. Yeah, exciting. Busy though, loads going on.
Oh, 100%. And already
stacked, isn't it?
The commentators being like, how are we doing, mate? It's good to have you.
Trying to say, mate, it's like we weren't kind to you last time.
Have you noticed that the number of commentators in this draw is rapidly increasing as well, isn't it? It's like,
they'll all be playing the commentator card as well. Look, the chat room is rammed already. Max Dell is in. How we doing? Malachi Sandra, good evening. Sam is in. Andrew, how we doing? What do you think? Passed my driving test. Congratulations, Malachi. Well done. Ross is evening. Lynn is in. Eager-eyed, getting ready. Kieran, Mark, good evening. Stuart is in. Daniel, Connor, Adam, Wayne, Rob. I tell you what, the chat room is going off tonight already.
There's something exciting going on tonight.
Tony, Hazy, Charlie. Oh, it's bumper, isn't it?
Who knew this many people wanted to hear us waffle on about the women's series?
100%. Look, the draw, 8:30. So we're going to tease you for a little bit longer. How are we doing, Anthony? Good to have you in, buddy. So yeah, look, let's start with the women's series that concluded this week. We have the places for Alexandra Palace and the Grand Slam confirmed. The top three in the order of merit was Bo Greaves, Noah Lynn van Leuven, and Fallon Sherrock. Congratulations to all three for achieving a World Championship spot. We know Bo is going to give it up, obviously. Bo and Noah Lynn will go to the Grand Slam of Darts, gents. But all in all, another successful season for the ladies in 2024.
And absolutely not controversial at any point in the slightest.
Did anything happen?
Not in the women's series, to be fair. It's everywhere else in the ladies' game. Yeah, I've been quite impressed. Look, clearly, we've championed the women's game for quite a while now. We've been streaming along the women's series for a while. Unfortunately, work rotas and stuff have meant we've not been able to do as much of that through the back end of this year, but we've still kept a really good eye on it. Competition's been brilliant. New winners this year, including Angela Kirkwood in the final event of this year, and the general growth of the women's series has been brilliant.
It's a bit of a shame. I think we had two quite different events. The standard across the board, and whether it was a lack of something to play for, but that second event was just wasn't quite what we've been used to seeing. It just and it's a shame because we'd seen such big stuff played this year on that tour that it just fell off a little bit in that last event. But
we'll come on to that in a minute. But look, the first event, Noah Lynn produced one of the all-time great performances on the women's series to deny Bo in the final. 5-3, 109.64 average was incredible to win it in some style.
It's not just one of the all-time great performances on the women's series. To do that in any PDC final is ridiculous. There aren't many that would have gone above that level on the Challenge Tour, Development Tour, or even Pro Tour in finals. That is outstanding.
100%. Then the second event, Bo beat Fallon in the final, and obviously Bo was head and shoulders in the rankings, wasn't going to be caught. But at the time, we thought that final for Fallon was enough. However, then in Bo's post-match media at the end, she dropped the pipe bomb that she wasn't playing on the Sunday, which then all of a sudden opens that equation up a little bit more, because when you're taking one of the heavy hitters out, it would have been easy or easier for Makuru or Lisa to go back-to-back or get a final and back-to-back. So then all of a sudden, there was a lot more jeopardy going into the Sunday because Bo wasn't there. I think that's fair to say.
Well, it kind of goes both ways, doesn't it? Because the women's series isn't seeded, as we've argued for so long.
That's it.
It's very much dependent on the press of a button afterwards. Like, it's only a worry for Fallon that she's got to defend against Bo. If Bo's drawn against her in her half or earlier, actually, Bo's presence is a weapon to Fallon. If she's drawn against somebody chasing in the opening round, like, it was one of them weird ones. It's like, actually, this could go either way, but it is very dependent on the press of that draw button in the back end of Dart Connect, which I've seen many a time this season myself.
100%. How are we doing, Chris? Hope Northern Cyprus is good. And then moving on to the Sunday, event 23. Fallon put that all to bed in one foul swoop by winning the first event on the Sunday, beating Mikuru Suzuki in the final as well, one of her rivals for that final spot. So at that point, we wish Fallon congratulations. And because of the scenarios, like Gob said, that last event felt really flat because the Grand Slam spot was done, the World spots was done, and I'm not taking anything away from the other finalists, which we'll talk about in a minute, but you felt the big hitters didn't really have the motivation going into that final event because everything was sewn up.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest, you can look at it another way and you can say that, you know, it allowed other people that maybe haven't had big runs and gone as deep in some of those events to do so. You know, getting a new winner and seeing some first-time quarterfinalists and things is a good thing. But it did just feel a little bit flat at the end, and it's a shame because we've seen such a high level this year on the tour that just the last event was a bit underwhelming, but it shouldn't detract away from what's been a very, very strong year in terms of, you know, the overall. There are some statisticians in the chat room I know, and it would be interesting to see, you know, some sort of stats across the tour, some mean averages and things like that, because I think we've seen some really high level darts.
Yeah, and in that final event, congratulations goes to Angela Kirkwood, who picked up the title. We've seen her play some great stuff on the WADC events this year. She's now transformed that into the women's series is good. And it was great to see Anastasia Dobromoslova back in a final, boys.
Yeah, what a talent, what a servant Anastasia has been to the women's game. It's been fantastic to see her back. Look, what's going on around the world is clearly quite horrific, but Anastasia playing darts doesn't have an impact on that either way. Like, she's been denied the opportunity to effectively make a living through what she's been very, very good at and done for a very, very long time. And it's been brilliant, politics aside, to see her back playing darts.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just worth pointing out that the politics involved in that is one of the stupidest things I've ever come across in my life. To think that we should have some sort of ban on somebody like Anastasia playing darts, and somehow that means we all have to subscribe to the narrative that she supports Vladimir Putin. It's fucking stupid. Sorry, I'll save that for later. It's because we normally do this a bit later on. No, completely stupid and sensible. A return to sanity to see her involved and make a final. Like, very good.
Yeah. Evening, Oki. Hope you are good. Right. So the end of season order of merit for the women's series: Bo 1, Nolan 2, Fallon 3, Mikuru 4, Lisa 5, Gemma Hayter, who had an incredible year considering she missed the first block and so on as well, has done incredibly. Aileen 7, Robin Byrne 8, Lorraine 9, and Rhiannon O'Sullivan 10. That was your top 10. But also the race for the Women's World Match Play is already underway, shall we say. And currently the 8th heading to Blackpool at the turn of the year for the women, because they won't play again now until next year. Bo 1, Nolan 2, Fallon 3. I don't think we're surprised that they're the top 3 at the moment. But then below that, Robin Byrne, Aileen de Graaf, Gemma Hayter, Lorraine Winstanley, and Mikuru Suzuki. Now, look, if that ended up the 8, we'd be happy with that. But there are some big names currently outside, mainly Lisa Ashton. Look, she's only outside on countback, but Lisa won't be happy with that.
No, but you would think that you would think she'll get herself there because she's level on money, so it is just the count back that's keeping her out. You would think she get, but by the same token, there's plenty of opportunity. It's tight, but it's tight under Lisa as well. Whilst Lisa's there on countback, Angela Kirkwood's there only 200 quid behind as well. There is definitely time for someone to come from completely outside, without a doubt. Yes, we can see that Lisa's just outside there, but there's more than enough time for a complete rogue entry and someone to really come from nowhere and claim a spot. Yeah,
100%. And it was a fabulous women's events this year, and hopefully it goes from strength to strength next year. But from there, we're going to go all the way across the pond to Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, where we had the end of season CDC get together with a lot on the line for the Continental Cup. And I have to say, the standard gets better and better. What a tournament, what a tour the North Americans are turning into.
It wasn't just the standard for me. And, there is the standard of darts continues to improve. But I thought the overall, let's be honest, it's very rare that I watch darts, like, I'm going to say out of hours. Like, I was still there at 4:00 in the morning on Saturday night. I think the overall presentation was a genuine credit to everybody involved. I think the presentation was brilliant. The social media was great. The streaming was good. The scoreboard, the fact that we could follow it in as much detail as well as we could on the opposite side of the world is brilliant. And I thought that the team did a really good job of just bringing eyes to it during the bits and bobs of shorts and reels and things that Anthony and the guys were uploading. I thought was top draw, really, really good. The standard of darts was great, but I just think the whole tour is just starting to look really slick and really professional.
Yeah, and look, we go back to night one as well. There was a couple of real standout performances. Stowe Bunce and Alex Spellman, two players that we have high expectations of, and they delivered on night one with, again, both over 90 averages and just their general demeanour. And I have to say, Stowe Bunce's board management is up there with the very best. Forget in North America, in the world. When he's setting up shots from 1 or 2 visits in, he knows where he has to go. Incredible board management.
It's from the very go. I literally saw this firsthand a week and a half ago at the Super Series, but he knows exactly where to go to leave a 6-star out every single time. If he goes 96, he knows where to switch to leave 3-4-4 or 3-4-7 or whatever, so he can go 180 out. Like, that is in his mind constantly from the word go. And it caught me by surprise a little bit. He switched to the 18, I think it was, in the middle of or 15 or something in the middle of a leg, and I was like, hang on, that's a strange one there. I get why you've done it, but I wasn't expecting it to see it. And when I spoke to him after, he goes, yeah, like, if you don't do that, I know I've got 9 darts against you. Like, he's such a scholar of the game, shall we say. Like, he has absolutely got that down to a T.
Yeah, just incredible. And also a few blasts from the past. Larry Butler and Gary Mawson putting in good performances as well. It was good to see. I thought JP played all right, just run into a very good Stowe Bunce performance. The Soldier doing what he did, and all the big names made sure they were in to Cup Collection Day, as it's been dubbed. But the quarterfinals, again, Spellman against Savada was a great game. Spellman averaging 92 and a bit. Bunce just a shade under 90. Like, we're talking point so-and-so under 90. The standard was there, but one of the best games I've seen in CDC darts was in the semi-final, where Gates beat Spellman 7-5, and it was just an incredible game to watch. Forget where it was; it just had you gripped.
It did, and a lot of it was the way that game swung as well, because it swung hugely from one side to the other as the game went on. Gates came out, obviously won the first leg, then Spellman just starts rattling legs off, and you think, oh god, he's going to fly through it, and then Gates fought his way back in. I thought it was a really just entertaining. That game, they could have both averaged, 5-6 points less. But with the game turning the way it did, it would have still been entertaining. But yeah, we got a proper show from the guys there. It was really good.
Yeah, 100%. And the final had it all as well. Gates was great early. The gentleman Jim Long came back into it. We went to a last leg decider, and all the players ask for in a last leg decider is give me an opportunity. They both had an opportunity. One hit, one didn't. Look, I'm sure those two last at double 14 will haunt Jim Long for a bit. And the 140 set up from Gates, which put the pressure on it, just had a bit of everything in the final.
Yeah, again, just very impressive. Like, it's entertaining darts. I say the level is and the level's good, and we're seeing it rise. And the level's excellent, but it's not just that. It's the whole package of it being entertaining to watch, and that I think is the most important thing. It's becoming a far more commercial product, and with that means more money, which means players get more opportunities, which means the level gets better. Like, that's how it works, isn't it? And that's how it's exactly how we want these affiliate tours to progress, where they make themselves more commercially viable. They make themselves more attractive to sponsors. Their presentation's better. They've got more eyes on it. They've got people like me staying until 4 o'clock in the morning to watch their product. That brings more money in. It gets more interest. And then the more players you get involved in the sport, the more talent will come through and the higher the level will go. It can't not improve.
Yeah, there was a lot on the line as well, not just the Continental Cup trophy, but there was a spot at the Grand Slam, a place back at MSG. And look, I get the Slam, the Worlds and all that are huge in darting terms, but just listening to the guys from North America talk, especially the last 16 winners, I think we downplay the importance of MSG, because I think a lot of them want to get to MSG more than potentially the World Championships, which I know sounds strange for us darts fans, but that North American connection to Madison Square Garden, I think, cannot be underplayed.
Yeah, go on.
I'll just be honest with that. At the risk of insulting a large part of our fan base, Americans are quite close to the fact a world exists outside of America. So if they've got a big sporting venue, that's their dream.
Yeah.
I think
if you ask them who the greatest athlete of all time is, they go through NFL players and NBA players. Like, they don't come into the conversation of football or athletics or whatever else. It's, right, we're going down this route. And I think that contributes a little bit. Don't get me wrong, MSG is massive, and it holds multiple sports. You think of boxing events, you think of basketball events and whatever else, but that plays into it.
There's a quote somewhere about it, and it's I can't remember who said it, but there is a sports quote about Madison Square Garden that says it's not a church, but it is hallowed ground. And I think it's very much viewed. And again, it's something. It's not famous in America. It's globally famous. It's famous everywhere on the planet. People know Madison Square Garden, whether it's because they watch boxing, whether it's because they're into wrestling, regardless of where your contact is. It's hugely famous as a. Not even just as a landmark as well. It's part of New York that everybody globally is familiar with. So I can imagine for an American, the opportunity to play there, it can't be a million miles away from, somebody here getting to play at Wembley or getting to play somewhere, St. James's Park, equally iconic.
Evening, Anthony. Good to have you in, mate. Josh is in. How are we doing? But yeah, look, I'm looking forward to where the CDC goes next year in 25, because we've seen that continuous progress over the years. 9 years of Continental Cups. So I'm interested to see where it gets to. And I think the next step for me is having the winner or top two of the CDC Tour offered tour cards, because I think the standard is there. I think it's good enough. That the Challenge Tour gets it, but it's a big commitment for North Americans to come over and just to play the Challenge Tour. So I think that would be my next evolution point for the guys in North America.
I think if you offer them, they'll bite your hands off for that. I think that's very much a PDC decision, not theirs. It's similar like we sit and talk about the Canadian World Series. These guys would do it. They'd facilitate it straight away. Let's be honest. They're just waiting for the word go from the powers that be globally.
It's definitely, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. I don't know. It should happen. Definitely.
100%.
The standard is clearly good enough.
Oh, completely. Look, and some of the stories that are coming out for there is great. But credit and kudos to everyone that took part in North America darts. It was a splendid end of season finale and tour, which is good. Look, the news off of the bat was obviously Leonard Gates had a decision to make. And literally that decision has only just been made. Unfortunately, he won't be trying to defend his seniors masters title. He is going to go to the Grand Slam of darts, and I'm sure it was a tough decision for Leonard because two incredible tournaments that have values in different ways.
Yeah, and he's also gone from holding 3 titles and looking for the Grand Slam to it was a good job he won in York a few weeks ago, isn't it? He didn't.
No,
he won't hold one. He won't hold any. Yeah, he won't hold any.
No, because Howson took his Champion of Champions, Hendo took his match play, and now someone is going to take his Masters. And by the way, that is the best trophy in the seniors, and arguably, darts, that seniors match play Masters
trophy, isn't it?
The collection of 3 of them is beautiful when you see them all together as well.
100%.
That is something that has been done very, very right.
Yeah. There's no question there whatsoever. Right, we are going to play a quick break so we can spin things around. You'll enjoy this one as well, and we will commence the draw on the other side of this. I'll tell you what, just watching it, the smile on John Henderson's face there says it all, reliving that moment with the Highlander.
Mate, I'm just recovering from a slight minor panic attack, as during the early part of the show, now these are round, my number 15 fell off the table. The moment you played that advert, I was on my hands and knees on the floor, crawling around the table, trying to find where the number 15 had rolled to. You'd be pleased to know I do now have a full set of numbers in front of me.
Right,
so that was a panic.
Right, so
just on that Hendo smile, by the way, I saw an even bigger one this weekend. Obviously, I was in Reading at the floor events with the qualifiers or whatever, and at one point, John played in the first 3 events, the ranking events, and he pops back around the corner after one game and went, "What was that, Jack?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Because I'll be honest, when I'm looking, I don't look at the numbers or anything else. I just see a game go red to show a result, meaning there's a board free, and I chuck another one on, and I scroll down. I was like, "John, you just averaged 112." And I kid you not, he's done the most giddy little dance. It was like a scene out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He's heel flicking and everything, with the biggest grin on his face. It's just like, woohoo! Like, this is a man who's done absolute bits in the game. And he's like, I'm so excited for it. It was beautiful to see.
I like that. So let's put this on screen so everyone can see what is going to occur These are the all-important numbers, the seeds. Number 1 seed, John Henderson. Number 2, Richie Howson. Number 3, Robert Thornton. Number 4, Paul Hogan. Number 5, Martin Adams. Number 6, Neil Duff. Number 7, Richard Rowlands. And number 8, Lisa Ashton. Tony O'Shea, the silverback, comes in for Leonard Gates. Glenn Durrant, Scott Mitchell, Trina Gulliver, Chris Mason, Matt Clark, Daryl Fitton, and Andrew Keatley complete the lineup, and they will go into the draw bracket order. So that's that. But first of all, gents, before we get into it, the non-seeds, there's some danger players in there.
There is indeed. Mr. Commentator himself looked really, really good. He just ran into a very, very good Neil Duff. I've just done it down. I've dropped the number.
It's a nightmare.
There's Scott Mitchell as well. I'm looking at as a danger man here.
There's definitely, and I know we were guilty of not stitching people up, but pulling a few games that people didn't thank us for in the last draw. And there's real solid potential of us doing that again here. There's a couple of there is some potential really naughty pairings where they're going to be tough games, I think, potentially.
100%. But can't wait. So let's get the draw underway. Jack, you are going to draw the seeds. And Dan, you are going to draw the non-seeds. So
let me just get them in my little bag.
Yeah, let me just get a pen so I can mark them off as they come. So first name out of the hat, please, Jack.
It is number 2.
Number 2, Richie Howson.
We'll play number 9.
Tony O'Shea. Jack, another seed, please.
Number 1
is the world number 1 and world champion, the Highlander, John Henderson. No pressure here, Dan.
I was going to say, I'm waiting for her. We'll play number 11.
Scott Mitchell.
Oh, that's naughty, that.
Oh,
that's really naughty. Sorry, guys.
You're not on the Christmas card list.
Oh, dear. I'm looking forward. I'm going to be there as well.
Number 8 is the Lancashire Rose, Lisa Ashton.
Lisa will play number 14.
Number 14, Matt Clark, Superman himself.
Next up, number 6.
Number 6 is the Duff man, Neil Duff.
Oh.
No pressure on this one, Dan.
Is it going to
the draw as well,
in the chat room.
Number 15.
Daryl Fitton, the Dazzler.
Chris Mason had just had a big sigh of relief.
Oh, dear me.
Number 3.
Number 3 is the back-to-back former seniors world champion, Robert Thornton.
We'll play number 12.
We'll play Trina Gulliver, the 10 times ladies world champion, the Golden Girl.
Number 7.
Number 7 is Richard Rowlands.
By the way, he made 4 finals in a row this weekend.
Ridiculous.
4 finals in a row and then wasn't allowed to play in the 5th event.
There's, God, it's reflecting off my life. 16.
Number 16 is the other quarter, Andrew Keatley.
Number 4.
Number 4 is Crocodile Dundee himself, Paul Hogan.
We'll play number 10.
Does Glenn Durrant, a repeat of that famous Lakeside tie.
So this should be, last but not least, number 5.
Is Wolfie Martin Adams. And this should be a repeat of one of my favourite ever Lakeside games.
This is unlucky number 13.
is Mace the Ace, Chris Mason. And again, a repeat of one of my all-time favourite games. So, gents, you've delivered there. That is for sure. There's a couple of unbelievable repeat ties, shall we say. What have you done?
It's what we like to see on the seniors, isn't it? We like to see something a bit raw, but we do like to see famous moments from darts relived. Like it's a feature that we get to see. It's one of the features of these big seniors events. Is you can think of classic matches, and just as Chris says, a trip down memory lane. I think it's a nice draw, that.
Speaking of a trip down, do you know what I'm really not that I'm preying on somebody's downfall here, obviously. But should Mervyn King lose his tour card, I'm itching for a King versus Mace rematch, just so we can recreate that trailer where they're sword fighting around the grounds of Lakeside.
Yeah, I could go with that.
It is beautiful. Mace hates it, but they dressed him up there just swinging away. And then right at the very end, they hold it, they clash each other and point towards the camera. It is so cheesy.
Yeah, but look, I kind of like it.
Yeah, but see, without that, we wouldn't have the wonderful video packages that we see in the modern game. This is everything's got to start somewhere, and you could look back upon that as a stepping stone to what we've become used to.
Ahead of their time.
Correct.
100%. What other ties have caught your eye? I'm just getting the graphic ready, so it'll be up on
when we get it up on screen, so we can talk about that, because all I've got is the order of the numbers that I drew out in a line next to me.
Yeah, I'm shuffling my counters now, so I don't know. You're gonna have to talk me through them. Richard Housen against Tony O'Shea. That was the first one, wasn't it? First one we pulled out.
Yeah.
I like that. I think Richie will be comfortable with that. Well, Tony played okay in York. I'm not sure if he's got enough in the tank to trouble Richie, especially over set play, where Richie's going to get those opportunities to pick off big finishes and take those sets away from you so quickly.
I agree with that. I think the only thing with that is when we saw Tony in York, he was, as I understand it, a very last minute replacement. It was very short notice that he had to come and play that. So this is Tony O'Shea with a huge amount of preparation. He's not a boxer going into a 12-week training camp, but he will have a little bit more preparation than we saw last time from him.
I think the biggest tie, without being disrespectful to anybody else, is the reigning seniors world champion John Henderson against Scott Mitchell. Neither player will like seeing those names come up against each other, because those two are more than capable, have plenty of experience, are going to take out the big shots at the right moments. They both love playing on tops. They both score really well when they get in. I think it's fair to say they both will have the odd off moment as well. And that will be a real slog. If that doesn't go all 7 sets, I'll be very, very surprised.
And as if by magic,
there we go.
The draw is up.
There we go.
I'll tell you what, there is some belters there, isn't there?
Yeah, and I do think it's genuinely interesting to see the two qualifiers playing each other as well, because obviously they've both had to produce very, very high levels of form very recently. They've both had to hit the top level very close to this event to get there. So I think that's an interesting tie. The bracket as well, the wider bracket. Where do I think? I think the top half's harder. Potentially.
It's interesting.
I don't know.
In fact, on paper, I agree. But there's a couple of dogged characters in that bottom half of the draw. Let's be honest.
Well, that bottom quarter full of Rowlands, Cately, Howson, and O'Shea. That's tasty, that is.
It is. I agree. But already, I'm you know when you start plotting people's routes to semi-finals and finals, already I'm eyeing up another rematch, another chapter of the House and Duff.
That's boring, though.
I'll be honest. I love both, but I think you are being not dismissive, but I think it's a lot tougher to see that chapter with that draw.
Robert Thornton assured me in York that he was winning this. Give me a solid assurance. He said it's happening. He's coming for it. Do I believe it? Not sure.
What I genuinely think is Rowlands and Howson will be gutted to be in the same part of the draw as each other because they're quite good friends as well. And I don't know how to phrase this. The biggest compliment I can pay Richard's game right now is it's Howson-esque from the early days on the floor. To go into that room like he did at the weekend and make 4 finals, winning 2 of them, lost to John Henderson in one of them and Kevin Edwards in another, where he's had darts for the early advantage in it as well, in only a race to 4 in that one. That's a tough little segment.
It is. I tell you though, I love the potential of Mace against Adams, the winner to play Hogan or Durrant.
Yeah, that's an interesting game, Hogan and Durrant, because like Glenn swears blind he's not a dart player anymore. And
so does Chris when he can get away with it.
But we've seen such like real struggles from Paul Hogan on that stage, and we recently did in York, saw him get absolutely bashed up. That I think that's a really tough game to call. Depending on other than the fact that we don't really have very little sort of knowledge of where Glenn's game's at the minute. Really.
I think it's intriguing for that reason because, like you said, I don't think Glenn knows where his game is.
He looked like Whitby, didn't he?
I thought he played well in Whitby. I agree, but I also agree with Paul Hogan's floor game is up there with some of the best we've ever seen, but that floor game doesn't get translated into his TV performances every time. We've seen glimpses at the UK Open when he did a number on Gary Anderson and things like that. So we know the game is there, but we don't see it enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I've ripped him often enough to see what he's capable of. Yeah.
Look, if Paul Hogan turns up, he could win the whole thing, but that's a very big if. From what we've seen in him on TV,
and that's the thing. The ranking there, the fact that he's seeded 4th. It's interesting because he wouldn't be a seed based on any seniors tournament that's involved a trophy at the end of it. That he has not put any performance together whatsoever as soon as there's been a TV camera turned on. But his floor performances are good enough that he's managed to find himself seeded 4th. But I think it's a fascinating game. I think it's a really interesting one. I don't think Oki's a mile away with his picks for quarters.
Yeah. And the good thing for you guys is I will be having a catch up with Mace in Dortmund and he can talk you through his game from York and how he's getting ready for this, as well as just putting the world to right. This is important, and this is something that we haven't talked about enough. It is the old Masters format. The only correct Masters format. Set play, best of 3 legs to a set. The only way Masters darts should be played.
It's not a Masters darts, otherwise, is it?
But it makes for great viewing, doesn't it? Because you get those clutch moments, you get that pressure, like leg play. Yeah, every leg counts, right? It's stupid not to say every leg counts in any situation, but in set play, they just become that bit more crucial because it either puts you one away from winning a set or wins a set. Now, as Michael in a comment as that might be, every single leg puts you 50% minimum towards a chalk on the board, and that's massive.
Yeah. 100%. But looking forward to the World Seniors Masters in Sunderland. Tickets are still available. Dartshop.tv if you want to be there to see the very best seniors slinging it out for that coveted title. I can't wait. It's going to be good, boys.
It's going to be class. A great week.
And I've got the day off before, so I could do the 6-hour drive instead of working first.
I'll get to drive about 18 minutes. It's about the only bloody darts event through the course of the entire calendar that doesn't require planes, trains, and automobiles for me up here in the northeast. So it's one Premier League night and this. So I'm absolutely having it.
Right, get the old push bike out, Dan. Get some miles in.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. Jesus.
No, Connor, I will be at the Grand Slam. I'm doing the opening day of the seniors and then hightailing it to Wolverhampton. So the best of both worlds. But that is the seniors. We'll give it to you one last time on the screen before we move on to keep it fresh in your mind. There is the draw. John Henderson against Scott Mitchell. Lisa Ashton against Matt Clark. Wolfie, Martin Adams against Mace the Ace, Chris Mason, Paul Hogan and Glenn Durrant. Robert Thornton against Trina Gulliver. Neil Duff against Daryl Fitton. Richard Rowlands against Andrew Keatley. And Richie Howson against Silverback Tony O'Shea. Cannot wait for this gentleman to...
It's a lovely draw, that.
To get there. Thank you very much for the seniors for letting us complete the draw. But time to move on as time doesn't stop. From there, we're going to go to the Euro Tour. And I'm throwing it out there. Prague, possibly the best Euro Tour we have ever had.
Quite possibly.
It's got to be right up there. It just in terms of everything it offered. It's always a bit interesting when it's the final one because you go into it knowing that there's that bit more to play for. We're looking at seedings and what the draw is going to be for the European Championships and things. But then the big hitters did not let us down in terms of the level of darts that they were able to produce. Some of the games were quite frankly mad. Like they were just bonkers. That some of the level of that we saw, the level of darts that we saw people playing and then being beaten was remarkable. Brilliant event though. Absolutely superb event.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you just look at the dart. First of all, the crowd as well. That it was busy on Friday, which is unusual, but the Saturday and Sunday, oh my God, the roof was almost coming off.
It looked mental. Like Prague is one of those cities that's been massive. I thought the home nation qualifiers represent themselves pretty well, considering how many of their bigger names were missing as well. Pavel Dertel was absolutely outstanding. It seems to be a country that's really moving on and taking strides. They look brilliant. The Czech Republic or Czechia were the side to knock England out of the WWF Cup a few weeks ago.
Yeah, 100%. Look, Pavel had the time of his life. He was Randy Orton. He was the legend killer. He stole the show. He really did. But last week we sat here and said, will Dirk van Dijvenbode survive? And we all said no. And the way everything panned out and played, as he was ticking them off as they were going along, and it got to Sunday, and it was like all of a sudden, he's favourite to survive. In terms of great escapes, that's right up there.
I think he's got away with absolute murder there. Like, I think, to be fair, I've been saying for 3 months that I didn't think he was gonna be there for the European Championships, and I still don't really understand it. But I think he's got away with one without a doubt.
Oh, 100%.
He's been helped by very strange results and rogue draws and things like that. It's been a very odd route to the European Championships, but he's there now.
Oh, look, he's done his bit, and he survived by 250 quid in the end, which was is remarkable. But I am skipping straight to Sunday because I don't know what was in the water. The darts were ridiculous. We had the Nuke breaking his own records. And then the game against MVG was just one of the most remarkable games I think the Euro Tour has ever seen. Highest ever losing average, highest ever combined average. You looked at the scoreline and it says 6-1 to Littler. You'd think, oh, he's battered him. But MVG was in every leg. Look, Littler won the big moments. But it was just the most breathtaking game I can remember in a long time on the Euro Tour.
I mean, it doesn't work, does it? The stats don't work. You have to watch it. It doesn't make sense. You have to go and watch it back in order to try and understand how that unfolded. Because reading the stats alone, you don't get any impression as to what that game was all about and how it worked. Hugely, hugely impressive. I mean, it's worth just pointing out as well, because yes, that was the highest ever losing average. Michael Van Gerwen's averaged over 112. Luke Littler, a measly 110. But that was after he's averaged 116 and a half. Like the level, it's that consistency. We've seen it from Luke. We've seen Luke come out, average something absolutely amazing, but then not be able to back it up. Or there's been a peak and a trough, but to maintain that through the course of a few games, it was superb. But I think it wasn't just Littler that we saw it from. As I say, MVG had a monster performance and got beat. We saw again like fantastic darts from Humphreys. Really, just brilliant day. Nobody picked. Let's be honest. Nobody picked Kim Huybrechts as a finalist. Belgian darts is very much on the up at the minute.
I'll be honest, Dan. I don't think Kim Huybrechts picked Kim Huybrechts to be there. He admitted after the final that it's come a little bit too early on this little comeback of his. His final. But let's be honest, without being disrespectful here, both players' final was the semi-final, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because whoever made that final from the top half of the draw between Niels and Kim was more than happy to be there and take the prize money, and whoever won it from the two Lukes was winning the title.
Which again was a monster game as well between Littler and Humphreys. Was another amazing game.
Yeah, and across the weekend, some of the first 9 averages we've seen of 125 and up have been just ridiculous. Littler, Michael, Humphreys, that they are staggering first 9 averages.
Bodes well, doesn't it? For the back end of the year, because it just seems to be clicking. And whilst I think we do still see that dominance of the best, Humphreys being the best player in the world, because he can do that more consistently than anybody else can, and that's what's making him the best in the world. We do see huge performances from other players, but nobody can find the performances that big, that regular as Humphreys. But there's so many players there that have just got that game in them, where that first 9, the scoring power is just going to be just so difficult to get to and to match. Everyone's got to be at their A game, but we've got loads of that coming up. So
a point that obviously everyone goes back to Bobby George's famous saying: "Scores for show, doubles for dough." Are we almost rewriting this now? Because some of these guys are scoring that heavily And when you are scoring that heavily, you're giving yourself an extra visit or an extra 2 visits to get out because the scoring is that heavy. Like, I still appreciate you have to hit the double at the end of the leg, but the scoring power that these guys are showing at the moment are buying themselves extra time.
Not necessarily. They're buying themselves extra time against players that are playing at a lower level. There's enough that can match that scoring power now. We've just seen that with Van Gerwen averaging 112 and Littler multiple times and Humphreys and whatever else. That it's relative to what your opponent is doing. The key factor in darts is and will always remain hitting the average.
I get that, but let's be fair. I don't mean, and I'm not being disrespectful to 85% of the tour here, but there are a lot of them that cannot produce that first 9 average.
No, yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is, when these guys go to that level, it is almost done already.
What it does do is it takes the pressure off the doubles. So the doubles that are being thrown aren't under the pressure that they would otherwise be. You know, when you watch a game like the semi-final where you've got Humphreys and Littler going at each other, and you know between the pair of them they're going to do 108.5 average and 107 and 109 average between the two of them. There is going to be pressure on virtually every double because they're both at that level. So if you miss, your opponent's coming for a double as well. So there's an increased pressure. Every miss can cost you. You just get if you are able to throw a performance like that, and your opponent is averaging even mid-90s, you're just getting so many more visits to the oche that aren't wrapped in peril. It's not that you have more opportunities to hit them. That's one thing you have. You also have the fact that many of those opportunities aren't as pressurized as they otherwise would be. Well, that works differently for different players. There are some players that play best when the pressure is on, certainly on those big stages in those big events. And there's other players that bottle it. So it is interesting to see the effect that it has.
100%. But we just look at some other notable performances as well. I'm going to say it as well. Kudos to Mike Kuyvenhoven that almost pulled off one of the best games I've ever seen in my life. So go back, Gerwyn Price pulled out late due to a trapped nerve in his neck, so was unable to play. Mike Kuyvenhoven got a very, very late call, had to get 2 connecting flights to get there, lost his luggage en route, rocks up with about an hour before he's going to play. I love the picture or the video they put of him just casually walking into the airport and things like that. No clothes, no darts, played in trainers' jeans, a PDC merch polo top with some logos on it for the sponsors, and used a fresh set of Raymond van Barneveld darts off the merch store, average 90, and only lost by 6 legs to 4.
My favourite bit is that he's playing Barney with Barney darts. Like, that's the ultimate Euro Tour shithousery story, isn't it? Like, if you lose to somebody who's rocked up with half an hour to spare with your own equipment, that's like peak Euro Tour moment. That would have gone down in absolute history.
It could have only been better if he did it in a Barney top.
Yeah.
Or beat Peter Wright in one of those fantastic wigs they sell at the merch.
Controversial. Look, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, don't get me wrong. We've covered a fair bit of it. Whatever. I actually don't think he looked that bad either. And with the dress code already slipping
That's what we're getting
from very smart shoes and pleated trousers to people getting away with golf trousers and colours, and let's be honest, 70% of the players are wearing fucking trainers these days that are supposed to be all black, but more and more colours creeping in. There's a certain couple in the seniors that we've just done a draw for that I can look at one of you.
Is one of them
I really don't think he looked considerably underdressed in comparison to a normal dart player, to the extent where what he wore would be outlawed on a day-to-day basis.
Well, no, because they were black jeans, so look,
They were stonewashed grey, close, but they weren't black, were they? But what I'm saying is, the white traders were. I think, look, he looked comfortable, but he still played all right, and he still didn't look.
No, agreed.
Whatever. Sports need to evolve and get with the times. Dart shirts are doing brilliant, but I think the need for trousers should be coming.
Do you think who's the first player then? If you relaxed it, if you said, right, we're not, there's no more rules anymore for footwear, wear whatever the hell you want. Who's the first player with a deal?
Ooh.
Who's the first player that signs a footwear deal? Because genuinely, as soon as you relax that, let's be honest, like if I'm somebody's manager, the first thing I'm looking at is whose shoes are they going to wear. Like I'm going to be going and banging on the door of the commercial department of whoever.
Littler Under Armour.
Littler Under Armour trainers. Is that the deal to be done? That deal should have been done already.
There are certain things I wouldn't allow, by the way. No tracksuit bottoms, no shorts, and no caps.
I wouldn't allow tracksuit bottoms outside of a track. And this is fucking ridiculous. So people wear them to the supermarket these days. Ridiculous.
Well, you didn't outlaw one thing, so I'll take that. So I'm on rock up in sliders.
See, this is the problem. There's always someone who'll take the piss, isn't there? This is why you have to, because you give people an inch, and then and this is it. Like you say, right? We maybe not formal shoes anymore, and maybe not smart dress pleated trousers and filter. Maybe flip flops and shorts, and before you know it, it's a shambles.
It would work though, wouldn't it?
Let's be honest, Phil's going to rock up like an Australian cricketer anyway with fucking factor 50 under his eyes because those lights are going to burn him.
Oh, 100%. I've been on the stage at the tavern. That wasn't ginger friendly.
Who would be the Shooter McGavin of the darts tour, ranting and raving about the traditionalness being
Gary? Man still wears
Gary, 100%.
Gary
would got button up shirt.
Get back to your shanties. This is darts.
But to be fair, it's right. Like I look at snooker, and I prefer them like watching the snooker players in the polo shirts and all the dart type shirts, the sports shirt. I think it just looks so much fresher than that stupid shirt and bow tie.
I think that's just practical as well, isn't it? Like I appreciate that snooker isn't a 100-meter sprint, but that you still need some freedom of movement across your upper body that you cannot get with the tailored shirt, the bow tie, and everything else. I think that's fairly common sense.
Yeah, but Gob is right. If you give them inch, they will take a mile. Like look at the footwear now that some of them do wear that is questionable.
Yeah,
funny but questionable.
Yeah.
Well, some of this is just a blatant piss take, isn't it? Because let's be honest, there are still rules in place, as I understand it.
Yeah.
That cover both trousers and footwear, and they are regularly flaunted seemingly without consequence.
I believe. The minute they opened up to allow trainers as long as they were black, and then you get some that are like people used to have to colour stuff in. If there was like a branding on there, they were just fully black. If you didn't permanent marker it, you weren't allowed to play. And then that got relaxed a little bit as players started getting a little bit more. I'll tell you his fault. It's Peter Wright's fault.
Well, you can't only have one person that's allowed jazzy pants, can you? That's the difficulty.
And he had those snakeskin shoes, didn't he?
No, but you can't say, well, because he's Peter Wright, he gets to wear jazzy pants and he can wear this and he can wear that. Because immediately, you especially at the minute, it's maybe different when he's, the reigning world champion or something like that. You can maybe stretch a little bit. At the moment, you can't say, well, we have one set of rules for Peter Wright and another set of rules for Luke Humphries. It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, but so with that, the race for the European Championship was complete. And I forgot to load it up. 2 seconds. I had one. Oh, sorry, we had a late change, didn't we? So
This can we before shoes. Remember James Wade's quote?
Oh.
If you've got to ask about the shoes, you wouldn't understand the answer anyway.
How we doing, Wim? I agree, Big Johnny. Some of the dart shirts are horrific. Right, so with that, I've got the, because this is an easier graphic. That is the first round for the European Championships. And gentlemen, there is some absolute humdingers of ties in there.
Yeah, there's some people that'll be relatively pleased. There'll be other people that'll be absolutely gutted.
I'll be completely honest, this is the first time I've looked at this.
Fairs.
I
was reffing and then went out for food.
I mean, you can only feel as we've seen some really positive signs. The shoots of resurgence from Nathan Aspinall to pull Luke Humphries in the opening game is a tough one. I think there's some crackers in there. Josh Rock and Mike DeDecker is a very exciting game, especially because of what we've seen from Mike recently. Chris Dobie and Johnny Clayton, there's not a great deal to not enjoy about that from what we've seen from both lately. Rob Cross and James Wade's interesting as well. I think that could be a good watch. And what's not to love about Bunting and Gandor? I think there's some belters, really, really good stuff in there.
Oh, 100%. And Mark, I think it's because they've done it in draw bracket order. So on Thursday, you've got the top half of the draw. And on Friday, you've got the bottom half of the draw. I think that's how it's been done. Let's actually get the draw bracket on screen so I can see it. Where is there? So just looking at each, let's do what we always do. Let's break it down. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, and Section 4. Chat room, get involved as well. I would like your section winners, please.
So quarter-finalists, yeah?
To start with, yep.
Okay. Where do you want them now? Any thinking time?
If you're ready to go, then... Section 1 first.
Section 1 quarter-finalist is... and this is virtually certain, is Ross Smith.
Who are you going for?
Hang on.
Other answers are available, but they're wrong.
I had so many windows open, and one of them was not the draw bracket. Section 1. Is that down to Gary? No, that's...
No, so Section 1 is Schindler against Dirk, Price against Gurney, Searle against Barney, Ross Smith against Luke Woodhouse.
Ooh, Schindler with a home crowd advantage. Doesn't get past Ryan Searle.
Who did you go for, Dan?
Ross Smith.
I'm going for heavy metal. I'm with Gob. I'm going Ryan Searle from Section 1.
No, unfortunately, you're wrong.
Section 2. This is a brutal section as well.
Horrible.
Chisnell against Smith, Van Veen against Edhouse, Van Goen against Clements, Bunting against Anderson.
Naughty, naughty.
You teasing me. Wait, no, don't do it. Van Goen beats Van Veen.
Gary Anderson beats Dave Chisnell.
MVG beats. Doesn't matter. He's in the quarterfinal. Section 3. Humphreys against Aspinall. Doby against Clayton. Cross against Wade. Wright against Watamina.
Luke.
Yeah, Luke Humphreys beats
Everybody. Just what he does.
James Wade in the.
Yeah, Humphreys wins. Bottom half. Littler against Gilding. Pietretscu against Heta. Rock against Adeka. Noppert against Cullen.
Littler wins that. I think very different, very difficult to make a case. I know that we've seen great darts from Adeka recently, but he's the wonder kid, isn't he?
So, from your lineups,
Rude.
what's that?
Rude.
What?
Well, Dan's the only one that's picked anything in the bottom part.
Well, are you not going Littler then?
No.
Well, I'm going Littler.
Damon.
Stupid.
Damon Heta.
Littler
will be playing FIFA again this week, complaining he's got to go and throw fucking pointy things again. My guy, by the way.
So, quarterfinals, plot your way to a winner.
The difficulty here, again, is that there are too many Lukes in one side of the draw. Which means that Luke will beat Ross Smith in the final.
Which Luke?
Luke.
I have to push you for an H or an L.
You tried to get away with that, then, you shit-out.
Humphreys. Luke Humphreys beats Ross Smith in the final.
Go.
Luke Humphreys defeats our Lord and Saviour Farquhar in the final. Ryan, sir.
I'm going for a repeat of the World Match Play final. And I'm going for a repeat outcome. Luke Humphreys beats Michael Van Gerwen in the final. For me. Chat room, what are you saying?
There's some strange... There's a lot of wisdom in our chat room, but every now and again there's some very strange views. So there's some people in here that'll really mess up your pie chart if you try and gather this information together.
So, again, first year of the Euro Tour, new rankings is done. I'm guessing you're still not a fan either?
Well, we've seen considerably less players play on it, haven't we? The effects of this Euro Tour, whilst we're seeing a little bit this year, what's been brilliant about the last couple of events has been the success of the home nation players, of the lesser ranked players. Let's be honest, the weekend we've just seen, one of the greatest Euro Tours of all time. We've spoken about a couple of the top players towards the back end producing ridiculous averages, right? And outside of that, what was the biggest story? Niels Oliver just made a European Tour semi-final. Nope, not him. Kim Heibrecht's resurgent. Yeah, all right, but he felt happy with getting there. The biggest thing, and we spent more time talking about, was Pavel Dirtel. despite the fact we skipped the first 2 days. Those names, those stories, those opportunities in the early round make the Euro Tour watchable. They make it fun. They tell a story. They give chances to outsiders that you can then use as growth tools in these nations. Players qualifying, getting on the Euro Tour, and others going, I fancy a crack at that. It's how you grow Euro Tours. That's how you get a big Polish region, and how we end up with a Poland World Series, and how we've got a Prague Euro Tour and whatever else. We need more of that. And what you're not going to get is any more of that with 10 events in Germany and 4 Germans playing.
I can see both sides of the argument here. I get that side of it, but also that where the Euro Tour money is so big now and plays such a big part in the rankings, that should ranking money be leaving the ranking system? With home nation qualifiers and so on.
Probably not. I think it's a really difficult one.
Exactly. Yeah,
and this is it, because there's all of the cases that can be made for each argument are perfectly logical and viable.
100%.
It's like everyone, you hear someone explain why they think what they think, and you think, oh yeah, great, I agree, and then someone else comes at their angle, you think, oh god, I agree with you as well. It's very, very difficult, and it's a balancing act. We sort of know the patterns of these things, in that we won't see a change for 2 or 3 years, but I don't think this will be set forever. I think in a couple of years we'll probably see, a slightly different spin on it.
And as well, when you're trying to sell TV rights and rights to other regions, I get your point, Gob. But if you go to a broadcast partner and say, will you take our event under the old ranking or under the old system, you go to them, okay, yeah, but I can only guarantee you these in. They're going to go, yeah, I'm not sure. Under this system, you go to new broadcast partners and you can say, I can guarantee you these, and these. We'll take it.
And it's the ticket sales as well as the TV, isn't it? Because let's be honest.
And ticket sales, just by the naked eye, I think have been massively up this year.
Yeah, and because let's be honest, people, yes, and of course, whenever a home nation player plays well and gets a win in that opening round, the crowd are going to go completely bananas. And of course they are. But I don't think the crowd are predominantly buying tickets to watch the home nation players. They're buying them because
I also don't think they're buying tickets to watch the players that have benefited from staying in because of their world ranking. They're buying it to watch the top 8 who are going to be there regardless of the system.
I think
they're buying it to watch the same players that we've been sold on the Premier League for. The difference between the world number 38 getting protected and a home nation player there on a Friday for you to give shit to someone else.
Yeah, but you say that because of the change in the system. We wouldn't have had Aspinall, and there was a couple. We wouldn't have Aspinall, wouldn't have had Wright. And whether you like it or not, especially in Europe, they're big ticket drivers.
Their long-term ranking is going to benefit from this now, unfairly.
No, I don't disagree.
Why?
Because if you're trying to, I understand your point, and I do agree with it. But if you're trying to grow the sport to a wider audience, you also need those names for broadcast deals and ticket sales and so on.
You're also trying to grow the sport where all 128 of your tour card holders can make a living. And you're not going to get to that if you're protecting people that otherwise wouldn't have qualified and people from lower down would have taken those spots.
But then you're also going to lose money if TV companies pull out because the top players aren't in there. And then you're even further away from your argument of getting 128 professionals anyway.
If your sport can't sell those rights based off the sport itself, if you're having to manufacture opportunities based on characters, then there's something wrong with your sport. It is the most exciting this sport has ever been. There is more attention on it than ever before. And just simply going, yeah, but we need these 4 people or whatever over this person is wrong. It is in any organisation.
I agree with you, but this is this is broadcasting deals in emerging markets. Like,
Yeah, this isn't broadcast
said,
deals in Germany. This is
yeah,
broadcast
Sky Sports,
in
Sky
Asia and
Sports
Eastern
gonna
European.
Padel. If Sky Sports are going to put padel on, then you're going to need the best players in the world to
the Premier League aren't protecting Leeds from relegation because they're worth more in Vietnam. That's the same logic.
Yeah, but darts is not in the same place as Premier League football.
But it's the same logic. It just doesn't happen, does it?
It's the same logic. I think, darts. The PDC is attempting to grow darts, and they've got their strategy for it, and it's obviously it's not really comparable to many other sports, is it? Because of
other sports are governed by governing bodies, not promoters who want to make a buck on the side of it as well. Sports should grow naturally.
No, I disagree, because boxing's one of the biggest sports in the world, and that is corrupt as fuck because of the same issue of governing and sanctioning bodies.
Spinning off in 95% of it is because it's corrupt as fuck.
But it's still one of the biggest sports in the world.
Everybody,
and the other thing is, right, the BDO / WDF was huge, but now they don't even have a proper TV deal because the sport is pure. Almost, it's done on a ranking system, and they're all in. But
that's not the reason they lost it. Let's be honest. The BDO lost it because they were run by a bunch of amateurs who wouldn't know what marketing was if it jumped up and slapped them in the
I agree, but also because
don't give it on their ranking. They were in the perfect position. It was just run by idiots.
But also they didn't build
because they have a ranking system. They just failed to use it.
They didn't build those characters and personalities.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have had to protect them. That's what I'm saying. You could have built those personalities and characters like they had in the past, like your O'Shea's, your Fittons. Mervyn King had one of the biggest. Willie Won't He Disappears. Glenn Durrant, another, etc. But the people at the top weren't good enough to do so. They weren't falsely creating opportunities to then see these guys even more.
Yeah, but they're not. The PDC aren't falsely creating opportunities. How are they falsely creating opportunities? If you're in the top 16 in the world, have you not earned the right to be in everything?
No.
Why not?
Not compared to the old system. No, not when you've changed it. If this had been from the start, then fair enough. But to change it and take opportunities away from other people, whether that be home nations, challenge tour players, or just even your tour card holders, is wrong.
No, I disagree.
Then there would have been an argument.
If you're in the top 10 in the world, in my opinion, you've earned the right to be in everything. You've earned that right.
Yeah, but half of that right is because you were there for one event, and then you keep spitballing. You get a snowball effect from being in one. That's wrong. And it's a 2-year ranking as well. Don't give me that. Because 95, you can have...
agree. The 2-year ranking system sucks.
And then your rankings inflated for 2 years.
I agree. I agree the 2-year ranking system is shit.
That doesn't give them the right to be one of the 16 players on the Euro Tour.
No, I disagree. I think if you've got to the top, you deserve to be in things.
No.
Look at Dan's loving this.
Sometimes it's nice to have a little rest and just watch you two quiet. I've had a busy week, and sometimes it's nice to just sit and remember when I was just a member of the chat room as well.
But any sport isn't pure anymore, and it hasn't been for a long, long time.
The difficulty is always going to be that there are far, far more factors involved with every decision other than what is this is the problem is it's not even just many factors involved in one question. It's many, many questions, because it's not just how can we make sure the tour is viable and we provide 128 players with an opportunity to earn a living. It's also, how do we keep this sport commercially viable? How do we secure a new TV deal? Where do we get the next sponsorships from? Where are the next events going to be? And the problem is there's 20 different of those questions, and each one of those questions has 5 different answers to them. And at some point, you've got to find one way of doing things, and it's very, very difficult to do, especially when the effects are year round. You know, if you change, you know, we talked, Christ, I don't want to revisit it now, about format changes to events like the Masters, and how that format change and qualification or whatever, you know, might have an effect. But that's sort of one event. And I think it's easier to write those off and not get as worked up about them, because you just think, yeah, it's one thing. All the majors, you know, all these things have to be slightly different, and they all have to have their own identity. The tour events are a bit different because they are the spine, the backbone of so many of those events, that it becomes very important to get right who gets there and how.
But that's what the Pro Tour is the bread and butter of the tour, not the Euro Tour.
Not anymore, because we're making an argument for a year with the prize money that is more important.
Well, that is the issue. Is
with the prize money, yeah, it is becoming more important. But that goes back to the point that we say about having the prize money at the bottom raised to make sure.
I think there's nobody would disagree with that. No one would disagree with the prize money at the bottom being raised. A little bit of me thinks, and sometimes the way that it's talked about, and people get quite passionate, like Jack did, about how wrong it is. But it's easy to forget when listening to that passion that every single player with a tour card can go to every single Euro Tour event. You just have to win darts matches against other people with a tour card. Now,
yeah, but now you have to win even more comparative to that situation last year, which is the difference. Like,
but only against players that aren't ranked in the top 16.
If these had been the rules from the outset, I'd have no issues with them. But when they've effectively shelved opportunities for the sake of commercial growth, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, but those opportunities are still there.
Richie Edhouse
significantly reduced.
Yeah, but they're still there. Okay, yes, there is less, but those opportunities are still there.
How many
stop one qualifier to the World Championships then and fill it with invites? Because there's still an opportunity there.
Richie Edhouse made 34 grand on Euro Tours this year, having to qualify. It's not bad, that. He took his opportunities. Those opportunities were open to everybody else. Everyone else could have made 34 grand on the Euro Tour.
Yeah. Those qualifiers are still there.
Richie Edhouse just kept getting through them. But that is like... But again, I think that those qualifiers became very important games to win. And yeah, I mean, let's be honest. You're not turning up to those qualifiers and playing against Luke Humphries and Michael Van Gerwen. They're not there. You are playing against people like you, professional tour carded darts players who want to play. I saw you up there. I corrected myself. Dart players
Nobody's like me, Dan. Nobody's like me.
Dart players with a tour card, who, yeah, they're. I think as long as you can qualify for every event, I think as soon as you have events that people can't get to, I think if you have a tour card, you should be able to have the means to qualify. You should be able to qualify for everything. That's part of what a tour card should entitle you to.
Yeah, if anything,
go to all these events.
This might not go down well, but if anything, get rid of the host nation places and give those to tour card holders, because where the Euro Tours are ranked, it's all ranking money.
Yeah, well, no one's saying it about the World Championships, are they? Nobody's saying, these people that are qualifying through all these different systems for the Rally Pally, why don't we knock them on the head and have more tour card holders go? And it'll just be the tour card holder World Championship. And it's not, because these events are made more interesting, more entertaining. They're more commercially viable in various different parts of the world by having these different people from different sources qualify in different ways. So you can apply it in different circumstances, and you still probably come up with the answer where you want to make it as commercially viable as possible, involve people from the affiliate and emerging tours and emerging markets, try and grow the viewership and followership around the world, and make sure that everyone with a tour card has a fair crack at getting there.
And that's the thing. Like they have got a fair crack at getting there. Okay, there is less places, but it's still a fair crack to get to one of the 14 Euro Tours next year. Beat someone in front of you that is of a similar level.
That's it. Or is at a level where they can qualify for a Euro Tour and you can't yet. You need to get better. That's not the level that your game is at present. But you have another go in a couple of weeks' time. Try again.
Yes. Also, another ranking event which is filling up nicely is the Grand Slam of Darts. We've had a few more confirmed off the back of this weekend. The Euro Tour winners are in. Gary Anderson, Peter Wright, Josh Rock, Martin Schindler, and Dave Chisnell added to the confirmed list. The additional qualifiers, Wessel Nyman, Bo Greaves, Gian van Veen, Noelin van Leuven, Lawrence Lagen is back, Leonard Gates, along with the event finalists and winners, Luke Humphreys, Luke Littler, Stephen Bunting, Dimitri Vandenberg, Michael Smith, Rob Cross, Michael Van Goen, Roby John Rodriguez, Mensur Sulevic, and Mike D. Decker. But, Gob, you're happy Lagen's back, I bet.
Everyone's happy Lagen's back. He's beautiful to watch.
Apart from the cameraman.
Why dress code should be relaxed. The man hates sleeves. Let him play in a vest top.
See, this is the problem. But see, between you, there's nothing left, is there? One in a vest, he's in shorts and flip-flops. We're just on the fucking beach, aren't you? And here's him banging on about this game becoming more professional.
As well, I've got to say, normally I love the PDC's graphic work, but this one of this honeycomb shape with the pictures behind him is doing some of these players no favours.
Didn't they use the same style last year?
I quite like it, I think I quite like. Do you know what I think it is? I think it goes well with, because of the graphics that the sponsors are using, give me sort of retros 80s vibes. I think that honeycomb square, it genuinely gives me like a sort of 80s video game sort of impression, and I really like it. I think it's that, when we're talking, or I was saying a minute ago, about each of these events having something that distinguishes itself, makes itself separate to the rest. And obviously we know the Grand Slam is very much specific to itself. But I just think, personal taste, I think it looks very cool. I like it.
Also, off of more qualifiers, this weekend, we had the Oceanic Masters. Congratulations to Gigi Mathers. I've got to say, he looks incredible as well. He's shifted some timber and he looks great for it.
Yeah, I saw the photo. He does look fabulous.
So, obviously, the PDC released their graphic of international qualifiers. Bo is on there, but we don't expect her to play. Zong, the Chinese champion winner. Jeffrey de Graaf through the Nordic and Baltic Pro Tour winner. Darius Labanauskas, Tamilo Gotto. I'm looking forward to seeing him again because he was brilliant last year.
Yes.
Joe Comito, Leonard Gates, Jim Long, Stowe Bunce, Cameron Carolison. I'm not going to try and butcher the Asian names because I will just get them wrong. But Paolo Nebreda is back. I can get that one right. Ben Robb as well. Nico Springer, Keem Barry taking the development tour spots. Put an asterisk next to Keane because he might still get one through the Pro Tour.
With Springer as well, because he's then qualified for the World Championships. He's no longer playing in the German Super League because the reward for that is a spot at the World Championships. So there is a knock-on effect of that.
Correct. Wim says, if Spellman had won the Continental Cup, would he have been in the Worlds? No. The Continental Cup was always the Grand Slam spot. The Asian winners were quick throwers. That's good. We like that.
That's what we like to see.
Didn't see much of the Super Series this week. Gob, who was the weekly winner?
The winner of the week was Mr. Tom Sykes.
I didn't see any of it. So
his third weekly title of the year. Really, really impressive in 4 series. I thought he started off a little slowly, if I'm being honest. Colin Osborne looked excellent in Group A. But yeah, Sykes' performance on Saturday night, a running average of over 100 across the 4 games to lift the title, take some doing in that field. That included Colin Osborne, Daniel Larsson, Victor Tingstrom, and a contender for shot of the year after losing 4-3 in his opening game at 3 each, knowing that a loss puts him out with his opponent sat on a double. Jamie Owens nailed 170 to win 4-3. I mean, the only way he could exit at that stage would have been via a 9-dart shootout. He then goes on to play Daniel Larsson in the semis, had chances, will probably live to regret those a little bit. As was his case all week, to be honest. He was really, really impressive the first time he played in Portsmouth in the last series, winning Group A that included Daryl Pilgrim, Jarno Bottenberg, and a couple of others in there. Rocked up for a Group B, I think. Got himself into finals night. Missed a lot of darts at double. I think he'll be the first to tell you that, but recovered well. Another crack at it. But yeah, Tom Sykes is the 6th player.
Nice to see Teesside represented as well, with Colin playing and Jamie Owens playing that week. Those are on comms. A good Teesside representation down there at the minute.
Also, Gob, you were in Reading for the seniors action as well.
Yeah, I sort of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but one of the most dominant weekends I've seen in darts for a long, long time. All right, it didn't result in titles at every opportunity. But 4 finals in 4 events from Richard Rowlands, who played so smoothly throughout the weekend, losing in finals to John Henderson and Kevin Edwards before defeating Paul Hogan. And then who did he beat in the qualifier? Been a long weekend. But yeah, he just looked brilliant throughout the entire weekend. Clutch finishing was there when he needed it. Scoring power was on fire as well. Henderson looked brilliant. I said he had that 112 average also. And then a win for Andrew Cately, who was in the draw earlier. I'll be honest, he's not a player I know a great deal about. I know he's played county for Essex. Doesn't have a nickname. I know his walk-on song. That's about it. But played brilliantly throughout the day and took his chances.
Good stuff. Is that the end of seniors tour action for the year?
No, one more block. So we head to Sunderland in a couple of weeks. And then the weekend after, off to Newbury for the final 2 tour events. They'll take place back-to-back on the Saturday before the World Seniors qualifier for the ADC Global Championship taking place on the Sunday. So it's 3 events in 2 days, rounded off with that ADC Global Championship qualifier. The winner of that gets a spot in Group C of Week 1 for the ADC Global Championship, which is the last 2 weeks before Christmas. If you make the final 4 on either of those weeks, I believe it is, semi-finalists. Yeah, final 4 on either Week 1 or Week 2, you go into the final 8 playoff on the second Sunday for the chance to win the ADC Global Championship.
Cool. There was some WDF stuff. I didn't see much of it, but Lakeside is quickly approaching with the conclusion of the women's series. I'm guessing that Lisa Ashton will now go to Lakeside in late November, early December. I'm guessing again that Noah Lynn will be going as well to Ali Pally and not Lakeside.
There's a lot to work out in the next few weeks, isn't there? With so many different things on offer, qualification routes. We've just had this conversation about Leonard Gates. We've got what we believe will be a Bow decision to go to Lakeside. She's been pretty vocal on that. There was an interesting article on Sky earlier today about her not enjoying or wanting to compete with the men through lack of consistency. Won't get into that too much.
Also, in the men's side as well, I think it's even worse because we've got Placia, Rob, Gates. Is that it? Scott potentially as well.
Potentially Duff.
There's potentially 4 could not be there. Look, I fully expect 3 of the 4 to go to Ali Pali.
Are the Asian qualifiers done, aren't they?
Yeah.
Kai Fan Long's not at risk of. He's not going to the Palace, is he? No.
No. So there's potential 4 coming out of the rankings, and I still find, again, I checked with Matt Edgar earlier that there is still no deadline in place as far as he's aware as a player.
Let's not forget Connor Scott could make it.
Yeah, so we said Scott was the 4th.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I missed him.
So, by my reckoning, that Danny Porter is going to go off the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
He looks it, unless Jimmy Van Schie does some damage in the next few weeks, but he's been doing plenty of damage this year. Can't head glove on him in the rankings at the minute.
Yeah, I'd say that looking at it from that way, but I still find it hard that there's not a cut-off, there's not a deadline.
They might introduce one between now and then, won't they? Because of the fact there's so much in the air. I guess the difficulty with the WDF is, one, it's not them restricting people from playing in both. They'll leave that door open as long as possible to get as many names in as possible.
I know, I get that. Paul, that's different from when I asked the question late last week to a WDF official.
Cut off for qualifying, not cutting off.
Qualifying. I think cut off for it cut off in terms of dates where the players have to let the organisations know which one they're playing in. We're talking about as a cut off because it has a knock-on effect. Because if you pull out, everyone else comes up.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at ones that are potentially outside that could come in. I don't even know the guy, but Howard Jones, who is ranked 38. If it's such a late call, he's not going to be able to get over from Australia in time.
No. You wouldn't have thought so.
Is the thing. So I'd like to see a cut-off introduced that players have to tell them. So it's kind of fair. Yes, the PDC rule is the same. You can't play in both World Championships. Adam Smith-Neal can go to the qualifier. I checked this the other day. I think his ban finishes 2 days before the qualifier.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if you don't think that's been done deliberately, by the way, then you're very much mistaken.
Yeah. So yeah, technically Adam Smith-Neal could go to the qualifier and potentially save his tour card.
Anyone know what his form's like?
He's been playing a lot out of Derby and Nottingham at the minute, and been
he's playing somewhere.
He's only suspended from DRA sanctioned events.
That's what I thought. Yeah. It was in the piss when I said
if it's not DRA regulated, he can play in it.
If Mace is still in the chat room, he'll know a bit more because he's been playing out of, I think, Hogarth in Ilkeston, which is just up the road from the Prince of Wales.
So yeah, no reason why. I believe he's changed to a southpaw stance. Interesting.
He's pissing around because someone asked what his form's like.
Oh, so I was just reading the card. Somebody,
don't be a muppet.
His footwork.
I wasn't listening, so I was looking for information.
No,
that would be funny. But yeah, look, To be fair, part of it would be funny if he rocked up and won one of the 3 places.
I mean, like, you know me. Like, whilst I think the lad's a fucking idiot, I have absolutely always tried to manifest chaos into any situation in darts. and I would be highly amused if he managed that. Like, if he managed to get through that and got there. Just because of the outrage that people would have, there'd be outrage, there'd be stories, people would talk about it. Somebody might deck him. He might deck somebody else. Who knows? Like, who knows? But the chaos could definitely ensue.
It absolutely could, 100%. What else have we missed in a week of darts? I feel like we're missing something obvious and I can't think.
When were the Pro Tours?
Oh, Wesley Plaisir. Good shout.
Yeah. I said
we were missing something blatantly obvious.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a small matter of
big dog Wesley Plaisir joining a very exclusive club.
We should have started with this. Next time, I'm doing the planning for the show.
Well, to be fair, our planning was thrown into chaos with half an hour to go.
Yeah.
So,
indeed,
forgive me for that one. Yeah, look, Plaisir joins an exclusive club of winning a Pro Tour without a tour card, and that's some achievement. That he's been threatening it. 3rd time lucky.
Plays some lovely stuff, doesn't he? Like, it's difficult to argue too much. He plays brilliantly, and you know, we talked. It comes up all the time. We have to try and think of who's the best player in the world without a tour card. You've got to mention his name.
Oh, 100% he is.
Like, if he's not number 1, he's number 2 or number 3, isn't he? Without a doubt.
I think he's top 2. Like, the argument, the old debate will be him or Scott, I think, at the moment.
The thing is it's and it is both of them as well, but probably Plaisir slightly more. Is it's just getting that bit further, that bit more often. Because, like I said, this wasn't a one-off. This is not, you know, he's threatened this. This is not come from nowhere. Yeah, very, very impressive stuff. And I think he's one of those players where doors are going to start to open to him. He's going to find himself with he's finding himself being invited to major PDC TV events without having a tour card, but he's also going to have choices to make because he's got other darts to be played elsewhere, and it will be interesting come January whether or not he can actually bag himself a tour card or not, or if he wants one.
Well, looking at both of them, given how close they are in the tour card race, Plaisir in particular, if he doesn't take every single PDC opportunity possible between now and Christmas, he's a moron. As a player who's been actively chasing a tour card for a couple of years now, like he has, who is playing some of the best darts of his career right now, he is 3 places away in the rankings from a tour card outright, which gives you a platform to go at. You're going to be there for at least 2 years, because if you've got enough money to get a tour card from 1 year without playing Pro Tours or without having a tour card, then the second year is going to add to that and keep you there definitely. And then the 3rd year, you're not defending half your Pro Tours. There's an argument that it's such a springboard to go at.
And let's be honest, there's some players that are ranked above him in that tour card race in the green section who are doing fuck all.
Yeah.
The square root of fuck all, some of them. Like,
James just hit it on the head here as well. That could be costly.
It could be, but he is also now first reserve for the last 2. Well, he's going to be in the next 2 anyway.
Well, yeah, I said the fact that there are 3 tour card holders that we know are unavailable.
It'll be costly in terms of a platform. Is he not relatively well ranked in the Challenge Tour anyway? 1 and 2, so they're pretty much bang on to win cards.
I'm being thick. Why is going to the Europe Cup going to be costly?
Because he missed 3 Pro Tours, and the money he won on them could have put him even higher up the.
I don't get that. Yeah, I mean, as a non-tour card holder, can you take money. You can't. I don't think you can assume any money can be picked up. Like the early round money is so shit, and the likelihood that you are going to draw a big hitter is high. I think even if he misses out slightly, it's probably the wiser decision of the two.
Interesting. Sam says Littler announced for Bullseye Christmas special.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it's just complete arse that it's a Christmas special. I like
made a big deal out of it returning, didn't they? And then it's like,
yeah, and this is the thing: is like let's get thousands of applications to let like 6 people on. It seems, I don't know. I just think if you're going to do it, do it. If you're going to,
100%.
you've got to build a set. You've got to do what like clearly, like you said, they haven't got it in the shed, have they? Like the old set, they're not wheeling out the old bits. You know, the old question card pot is not coming out. You've got to build something. Build it and make a bloody series. And if enough people watch it, do 2. I
wonder if the old speedboat's still in the shed.
Mate, it's fucking loads of them speedboats.
They're still on the streets of Birmingham somewhere because no fucker had anywhere to put them.
Yeah, there's canals. You'll be right.
It was that. And how are you fitting? How are you splitting a fitted kitchen? You can have the drawers. You can have the doors.
So I tell you what,
new wardrobe in XXL.
Yeah, somebody shared one the other day, and it was like a fashion spending spree, and the people who'd won it looked like they were the least likely people to enjoy a fashion spending spree. You know, go and get yourself a mink coat and something like that. It was very funny.
Yeah, Rob, potentially the pilot could be a pilot for a reboot.
Do we think Flintoff is going to ask somebody if they owe a refund for a sponsored Slim?
I just want him. I get. I'm going to use the word violently assaulted at least once a week by Mrs. Simpson for using the Jim Bowen-esque good girl sort of. Because it's genuinely remarkable and it's very much of its time, but he has this beautiful way of like, good girl, good girl, and I wonder if Flintoff will. It's that and looking back, and because they're terrible to sometimes you look back over them, is the dismissiveness of females' jobs, because it'll be like, oh, and you've got yourself a little job, haven't you? Haven't you? I'm a chartered accountant, Jim. Yeah. Oh, good girl. It's just like fucking remarkable. Like,
secretary. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Like, it's the original. Like sort of it. You get the impression that when Al Murray was building the pub landlord and doing the secretary or nurse, like he probably just watched a bit of Bullseye and he's away. Isn't he? The prizes will be naff.
In one.
Yeah, the prizes will be naff. We could maybe do something. We could do a watch along, couldn't we? We could watch along.
The Bullseye watch along.
We could do a Christmas Bullseye watch. Is it on Christmas Day? I'm not streaming on Christmas Day. I'll be no good.
Have you told Mrs. Simpson that by the way, congratulations to your anniversary this weekend. Everyone, just to let Mrs. Simpson's going to help Dan stream this weekend.
Well, I did. So do you know, I did like because I am, and she's a good girl. I tried to. I did run it past her. I said, look, I know it's our 10-year wedding anniversary. You know, yeah, well, what I've worked out. I said, look, the lads are a bit short this week, and we're struggling for a stream. But I've spoken to the hotel, and they've got like the Wi-Fi is really, or the internet's really good. We can plug in the Ethernet. Why don't you come on with me and we'll do it for our anniversary? And for a moment, just for a moment, she bought it. Like she bought it just for a second, and then she thought, I done me again. Oh. But there was this moment where she thought, the twat. It's European Championships, and like can't let Phil stream on his own. He's busy. Phil's got loads of stuff on. We're gonna jump on. Me and you'll jump on together.
Yes, Wim, I am in Dortmund. Where was the question I was looking for? Here we go. Sam asks, if you could create a new darts format, what would it be and where would it be played? Has to be a new venue. I know the format. Just going to be where we're going to play it.
The format would be...
Format.
Fucking Royal Rumble winner stays on. I'm off.
No, I'm going one leg, 1001 shootout. But it's where we play it.
I am having the first ever World Cricket Championships that will be played. Where will it be played? I mean, it's within 10 miles of Billingham, wherever it is. It's in but where would I have it? Would I have it? We couldn't hold it in the pub because we'd want to sell loads of tickets.
I've got it. One leg, 1001 shootout at the Royal Albert Hall.
See, the Royal Albert Hall is my dream post-Christmas World Championships venue. It's a stunner. Where would I'd play it somewhere really wacky, like
Cafe Del Mar at Ibiza.
Can I bring back somewhere? Can I bring back somewhere that's been knocked down?
Yeah, go on.
Right. In that case, I'm having a cricket tournament in the tall trees in Yarm. Of its day, Club M was Europe's biggest nightclub, held 7,500 people. That's where I want a cricket championships at the tall trees in Club M. Rob remembers.
Yeah, get any questions in while we reminisce. What would you go for, Gob?
It would be at Rock City in Nottingham.
Nice.
Which was the original Heart of the Midlands club.
Yeah.
I love playing darts there, and the atmosphere is decent. The shape is mint. You'd have to walk on down the stairs as well because they're fucking lethal. So even if you make it to the stage, you've done well. Format would be... I don't really know.
To be fair, we've already bagged 1001 and cricket, so there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Mixed doubles.
Maybe we'll play half it.
Rob's clearly much younger than me because he was there on that night, and I spent 8 years working the door there. Rob's clearly considerably younger than I am.
Right, Malachi's got it.
Well, I resisted there.
Oh. So yeah, final challenge tour of the year coming up as well. Like we've spoken about earlier, a lot on the line, not just for the top ones, but to get yourself in the UK Open and things like that. So it's a big weekend for the players.
It is indeed. I thought I had it wrong earlier and it was already done, but it's not. There is one more.
Yeah.
To go. Even if it's not, do the top certain number of players get free Q score as well? Or I made that up?
No, you are.
Stage 2.
Yeah, they do.
So a big stretch for that as well. That's an expense, or half the tournament taken care of straight into that second stage.
Then obviously straight off the bat, went down the wrong hole. Straight after Minehead, obviously the World Championship qualifier and draw.
Well, before that, there's this similar time. There's this really, really big live show coming up.
There is the small matter of the Live Lounge Live on the 9th of December.
9th of December. Oh, to be fair, I forgot about this. Johnny said, the quad board. Where do we stand on the quad board? Would you like to bring it back?
No.
No.
Would you not?
I'll tell you for why, mate. I can't fucking count on the board that we bought. I played that Sunday night. Did all right as well. Played 3 times, won 2 games. Right, that's all right. And that's my record. So the last 2 weeks I've played 3, won 2, which is a good record. But I still, no matter how much darts I watch, I still struggle at times. It's just the way my brain works. But put a fucking quad board into the mix, and like everything I thought I knew, and I can and someone who spent their life perfecting, and I think he's perfected it, but refereeing.
Won't go that far, but yeah.
Stick a quad board in, and all of a sudden everything you thought you knew is bollocks, didn't it?
I turned down the chance to referee the double start tournament the other week at the Super Series, thinking it would get complicated. Every single fucker started on tops. It was the most simple one you've ever seen, but I didn't want the risk. There's no way I'm doing a quad board.
Oh,
all 12 of them were top starters. I was like, you are shitting me here.
there was no random double 13s when you're switching around the board.
Yorkie board would be all right.
Yeah.
But you need to find someone to make them. That's the problem.
Nah. Yorkshire already believes it's more important in this country than it actually is. Don't give them any more satisfaction.
Ah, fair dues. I'm slightly north of the river. I'm not in Yorkshire. I'm in County Durham rather than Yorkshire. Just north of the river.
Yeah.
Not your neighbours.
Yeah, I know your neighbours.
Yeah, Anthony, again, the Continental Cup, mate. What a weekend for you boys. It was brilliant. To be fair, that's what I'd like. I'd like some cross pond action if we could do it somehow.
What, as in us there?
Oh, and that as well, obviously, yeah.
I'm up for anything across the pond that I can get to. It's looking promising, though. To be fair, we're seeing more and more reasonably priced flights be released from Scandinavian airlines coming from obscure English airports out to New York. It is becoming within reach, realistically.
Interesting. But everyone...
You're hearing that, Anthony? Flights just got cheaper for you to bring in a ref.
a ref and I don't know, his butler. Fucking pot around making cups of tea and shit like that.
If that ever comes to New York with me, he's carrying the bags.
Yeah, I can carry bags. I can carry loads of bags. I've got my own microphone here. I can chat shit as well.
Well, to be fair, that's not a bad one. I like the idea of. I like this like that.
Oh, I tell you what, we're not far off, as well. At the minute, like Mark's done it there. We are not far away from having something that could have a Ryder Cup vibe about it.
So, if we're doing the Ryder Cup, how are you separating it? UK against rest of the world at the moment?
Yeah, you'd have to. It's the only way to do it. Everything else doesn't make sense because you'd have to. Yeah. But yeah.
Are we doing it proper though, where we've got non-playing captains and they actually genuinely get wild card picks to pick whoever they want?
Yes.
Whoever they want. Whoever they're told to.
So who would the non-playing captains be for UK and rest of the world at the minute?
I think this is an easy one. For the very first one, Phil Taylor captains the UK and John Park captains the rest of the world.
Maybe. Are we expecting more of these in the future, like regionalised, by the way? Because I'm trying to name it. Because obviously the Ryder Cup is named after a person. In pool, you have the Mosconi Cup. And then recently they had the Efren Reyes Cup as well, which was Europe versus Asia. So
I'm just having a look down there.
Van Barneveld Cup?
The what, sorry?
The Raymond Van Barneveld Cup?
Behave.
Mate, you can't name the trophy captain when you didn't even pick him as your fucking captain.
The Jockey Wilson Cup.
There's already
if he's not good enough to be captain or make the team, you can't name the trophy after him.
He's not good enough right now.
As a non-player,
legacy-wise, you think about people that have had trophies named after them in the sport.
No, he could be the non-playing captain.
The Iron Man Cup.
The what?
Reference to Barney's comic book characters when he bought that Iron Man.
I'm still on about his DFSO for fuck's sake.
So you'd have. Depends if you get a Scottish independence vote between now and it getting up and running, doesn't it?
Never.
But the thing is, as well, it'd have to be proper where on day one you play pairs.
Oh, yeah, this is it. Like, you'd need to, yeah, 100%.
Day two, it's trebles or whatever, and then the singles are on the final day.
Yeah, 100%.
I like it. Everyone, thank you very much. As always, it's been another top show this evening. This will be available as an audio only in the morning, as always. But thank you very much for your continued support. Plenty coming up. We will be in Dortmund from Thursday, bringing you all the reaction as it happens. So stay tuned for that. Again, wishing Mr. and Mrs. S a happy 10-year anniversary this coming weekend. And it should all be good. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We have been on 9 Darts. Phil Bars, Jack Garwood, Dan Simpson signing out, and we'll see you all very, very soon.